Greetings once again to the wonderful students in the D.Min project design experience. This is your instructor, Dr. Larry Asplund, coming to you at the end of week 2. Kind of slowly but surely, we're taking baby steps. You know, it'll all add up fairly quickly as we move ahead, but I wanted to be able to come to you this evening at the beginning of week 3. In week 3, we're starting the second module, which is the second piece of our class, our experience that's so very, very important. So I'm going to help you in a couple of different ways. One will be, of course, with this weekly announcement. The other will be with a Zoom consultation opportunity on Monday evening. Remember, Module 1 was 2 weeks long, and it focused on the main thing, quite frankly. So it was focused on the thesis question, you know, basically the research question and focus, which was all in terms of what we call the statement of the problem question. And so in week 1, we had the opportunity to begin to work on those together with you. You know, in some cases, it might be a work in progress, but it's absolutely essential that we get that statement as clear, as precise, as concise as it can possibly be, you know, meeting all of the 5 criteria for that statement. Week 2 then, which I am so much looking forward to jumping in and interacting with you on, was the annotated bibliography, which is just really a research resource opportunity, kind of a review. Some of you already had all of that in hand, and I've talked to a couple of you who wanted to make some adjustments, taking advantage of this assignment. So it's another one of those, you know, preparatory exercises for you in 897. Also, week 2, there was a non-graded piece that I'm asking just really for my benefit. I'm asking you to use the link in assignments to post a sample academic paper. Just anything that you think represents kind of the, you know, some of the good work that you've been doing already in the program. Don't compose anything. That just pick something out that you think is, you know, pretty representative when it comes to formal academic research and writing in maybe one of your favorite classes. It gives me the opportunity to be able to interact with you and say, you know, you're ready to go, or you might take some time to review Turabian, the 9th edition, when it comes to footnotes, or, you know, whatever it might be, just be able to give you just a little bit of interaction when it comes to that. And so I'll look at it and I'll provide you feedback, but there will be no grade for that. That's really just helping me to help you as well as I possibly can. So we're starting now in week 3, module 2. It's a very important piece of your proposal development process, and so that's why we're taking 3 weeks to do it. But it will start with a summary of the literature outline, and when we get there, we'll look at that very, very specifically. And finally, there will be a document that will just be a section in your proposal called the summary of the literature. And so that's, you know, it's one of those real important pieces in the proposal. As you know, we're working on the proposal really to be able to send to Dr. Flint. So he, first of all, has a sense that, you know, you're ready to move forward, and also has enough information to be able to assign a chair for you, and then he'll send it to your chair. So this proposal, although it's not, you know, it's not a huge document, it's not certainly of the level of perfection required of a dissertation. But what we're doing together is very, very important to move you forward. So we're in week 3, and in week 3, my encouragement to you is to continue adding to your working bibliography unless you're convinced you've exhausted everything that you feel like you will need to know, which is kind of rare, quite frankly. I expect that you will continue to read and take notes as you go forward. You know, as you're writing your dissertation, you may discover that you found another book or another journal article or whatever it might be, and you want to add it to, you know, your ammunition when it comes to your research. But continue to do that. If you love reading, if you love research, this is maybe the funnest part of the process for you. And then there are some important resources for you also that will help you at this point in our process. Of course, Turabian. Most people don't know that Turabian has a first half that has excellent information on academic research and writing. The second half is the one that deals with formatting guidelines. Cresswell is the classic when it comes to research methodologies. All methodologies are included, of course, in his work with some great ideas. Sensing also was very good because it's designed specifically with Doctor of Ministry students in mind. And then remember, we do have resources from PMIN897. And so if you ever feel the need to review any of that, they're there for you in Blackboard. In terms of how Module 2 will work, Module 3, we're kind of introducing this element of your proposal. So my focus will be on the Monday night Zoom consultation number 2, January the 23rd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where I will be very, very specific in unpacking the summary of the literature section of your proposal. And then in week 4, you will provide an outline, and there will be a couple of options when it comes to that outline. But it's a way for you, unless you've already done a lot of work. I know some of you were in PMIN897 with Dr. Flynn, and you've already done a lot of work. Maybe you were just polishing your reviewing, etc. But it's very helpful to do an outline. As you can well imagine, academic writing is highly structured. And much of it, frankly, is based on an outline. And so to be able to have an outline of your summary of the literature section will be very, very helpful. That will be in a discussion forum in your group. And then finally, week 5 will be the actual document, the summary of the literature document. It will be another peer review opportunity. So you can post a copy of your document and then use the peer review rubric to provide helpful feedback for other members of the class. By the way, when it comes to submitting documents, just a quick word, Blackboard tends to mess with the formatting. So don't let that bother you. I never grade what I see in Blackboard. I always download your original document because, you know, I need to see what you see. And I think I need to keep a record of it as well. So don't let, you know, if you post something in Blackboard and wow, that doesn't represent how I formatted it or bumped it or whatever. For me, don't worry about that. I don't ever look at that when I'm grading. I just download your original document and then I grade that, provide feedback, whatever I need to do. So in terms of summarizing where we are at this very, very important point in the 897 experience, modules 2 and 3, when you end up providing, providing sections, 1 in module 2, 1 in module 3, you will have the majority of your proposal, literally that important. And so a couple of notes in this regard. First of all relevant research, background, I think of it as background research, not research in terms of data that you're collecting for your ministry project. Background research. All relevant research is reported in your dissertation in chapter 2, which there in your dissertation, we will call it the survey of the literature. And in chapter 3 of your dissertation, which we will then call that chapter biblical, theological, and historical context of the study. And so each of those chapters, and again, you're a ways from that, quite frankly, but each of those chapters will be 30 plus pages. I've seen it still be perfectly good at maybe as many as 50 pages. I've seen it at 120 pages, which would be too long. And so you need to be able, part of the academic research process is to be able to summarize and paraphrase, demonstrating comprehension. Very, very important. If there's too much in the way of quotations, it's usually your chair will say, you need to summarize more, you need to paraphrase more. Of course, cite, but you don't need all of this stuff you don't need to reproduce everybody else's work in your work. So in terms of the proposal, a summary of these 2 chapters is represented in the proposal in 2 sections, the summary of the literature section, which we will be now working on, and then the biblical, theological, and historical foundations section, which we usually just call the BTH foundations. Each of those ends up being between 10 and 12 pages, 10 and 12 pages. So we're talking about a fraction of what you will ultimately have in your dissertation. We're looking for the highlights. We want you to be able to introduce what you feel are the key sources for your research, and then give us a summary, in both cases, a summary. Now, if you did something more than that for what we're calling still the summary of the literature for Dr. Flynn, I need to know that because I've had a good conversation with him, what he will be looking for. He helped you do that. Ultimately, the proposal goes to him. So it was important for me to understand what it is he will be looking at. So if you were with Dr. Flynn in PMIN897 and you did a larger work than the 10 to 12 page, kind of a normal summary, let me know, because I'll have instructions for you specifically. So what you need to do now, you have been reading, taking notes, reading more, taking more notes. You need to go into your pile of notes per se and divide them out, separate them out. So in one pile, you're going to have all scholarly research in the relevant scholarly research, scholarly resources. Those that pertain specifically to what is going to be an element of your ministry project, and some cross-disciplinary sources that are kind of on the side, but they're still relevant. They have relevance as a background to what it is you want to do. And then in another, pile per se, you will put all the notes that you took, or that are related to biblical studies, that are related to Christian theology, and that are related to church history, and keep them separate, pull them out. Now, I think that should be fairly easy. I would think it should be fairly easy. In the process, you may discover that, I need a little more in terms of research notes in this area. And you can jump in and get that, So I find this process is pretty easy. Frankly, it seems more difficult in my experience to go to the second piece and separate out very, very clearly the difference between biblical studies, Christian theology, and church history. But we'll get there. We'll get there. It's just a matter of organizing your notes. And so you're doing that now in a way that will assist you in not only composing these sections of your proposal, but will ultimately it's going to set the stage for your dissertation. So that's where we're at this point in our 897 experience. What is scholarly or academic literature? Well, very simply, they're books, monographs. Monographs means that it's dealing only with one academic subject. So it's not, it's not a Bible encyclopedia. It's not, a Bible dictionary. It's not some kind of a larger, more general kind of a reference work. A monograph means that it's focused on one specific academic subject. Peer-reviewed journal articles, periodical articles are very, very important. In fact, when it comes to you demonstrating that you're on top of the most recent research, that's usually where you will get it. Doctoral dissertations are very, very helpful. One of the best things about doctoral dissertations is there's going to be an extensive bibliography. And so you can draw from that. It will no doubt capture your attention. Because remember, this process, we're going to take it as far as we need to be able to present a proposal to Dr. Flynn, but it's going to kind of go on. Eventually, you'll need to stop, and just report the findings of your ministry project. So those doctoral dissertations are very, very helpful, especially if it's a more recent one. So anything in the literature, of course, that's relevant to either directly to your research, your ministry project, or cross-disciplinary literature can be very, very helpful. So we're not looking for popular literature, as Wikipedia. We're not looking for something you accessed on the internet unless it was maybe a peer-reviewed journal article, and therefore it gave you all the appropriate bibliographic citation information, etc. So we're looking for you to be able to demonstrate that you understand the background as it pertains to the scholarly literature connected to what you hope to accomplish in your ministry project. So this research part of it, if you're like me, and it's kind of a nerdy thing, I know, but if you love this piece, you love reading and taking notes, digging in, looking for something else, it occurred to you to look at for some other cross-disciplinary piece, you're just going to love it. Of course, the problem with that, you could get stuck there. So you don't want to love it so much that you don't go forward and just, do your ministry project and finish up. And so this is, for some of you, just a lot of fun. And for others of you, it's tedious, and it's hard to drink enough coffee to be able to focus on all of this stuff. But for our purposes, we're needing summary sections that will be 10 to 12 pages on average, to be able to propose and to present, the key ideas that you think are relevant to your project, and to present the key sources. So it's something I'm confident you're going to be able to do. You've already been working a lot on it. Some of you have probably more than you need already. So we just kind of want to put the pieces together, connect the dots in our 897 experience. It's a great opportunity to be able to work together on this, and you will work in your group as a learning community. You will be very helpful to one another, and I'm confident in your success in the end. So God bless you, everybody. I'll see you on Monday night.